Argentina. I saw a few in this very stadium actually 3 years ago, boxing on a Marcos Maidana card. So a touch of the gloves, and this is one of those classes that I like because I don't really know too much about either one of these. And the great thing about the early stages of World Champs,
Round 1,
is that you get to discover new fighters. So Argentina in the blue, that's Casazza, Van Rooyen, Australia in the red. Through the combination there, Van Rooyen. Casazza was pretty much alive to it. Just short with the right hand. And they're just having a look at each other at the moment. Again, Casazza steps in, closes the gap that time. The right hand did get through. Not completely clean, but he made the commitment there with the feet, as he did that time. Again, I think they were glancing blows mainly, but they're within punching range pretty much all of the time here. Left hand got through there from Van Rooyen. He committed to that one. The first couple didn't, and then that's a nice snake-like 1-2 just slid in there from Casazza. And again, just sits down on that right hand, and he's got that kind of long, loose elasticity about him, Casazza. Left into the body, possibly a little bit low, although he's hiked that belt line up a bit there, Van Rooyen. I'm a bit surprised the referee hasn't got him to pull that down slightly. Just short with the right hand there, Casazza, into the final minutes of round 1. There's that long right hand. Again, he's got these long levers and he hinges at the waist. And that right hand travels, I think, a bit further than Van Rooyen thinks it's going to. Carries those hands low for the most part. Flicks the jab up from the waist there, Casazza. To the southpaw there, Casazza. And bell goes at the end of round 1. And they look fairly well matched, these two. Casazza, of the pair of them, I think made the more significant inroads there. But Van Rooyen was looking to get his feet nice and close and just let his hands go whenever he got the opportunity. He's got the greater reach, Van Rooyen. Rather, the greater reaches with Casazza, I should have said. And there are the scores from the opening round, and that makes sense. It's 10-9s across the board there for the Argentinian. He just controlled the distance a little bit better. Van Rooyen, I think, is going to have to gamble a bit more. He made that commitment with the feet a few times. He's going to have to keep doing it.
Seconds out. Round 2.
Good 1-2 there from Casazza, and then stepped off to his right-hand side and kept Van Rooyen turning. The right hand landed pretty heavy, actually. Wasn't completely crisp with the knuckle part of the glove, a bit of a kind of sandbag style element to it, but it was a decent shot nonetheless. And again, he'll shuffle in, he'll slide in with those feet. And then just let it fly, nice and long and loose. Van Rooyen trying to jab his way in. And that's what we really need to see from him. Jab, double jab, right hand, keep coming. If Casazza comes back in straight lines, you've just got to keep coming. 2 phases of attack possibly. But what he doesn't want to do is be too gung-ho and leave himself open. That's the kind of balance you need to strike. He does need to do a bit more here, Van Rooyen, but at the same time, if he overcommits, then he could get picked off. That's a decent left hand there from Van Rooyen. That was better. Nice left to the body from Casazza and the right hand back from Van Rooyen. The Australian corner telling him correctly, no singles. They want him to punch in combination. And as I say, possibly a couple of phases of attack. There's that cheeky right hand lead again from Casazza, and then just sits down on the 1-2. Into the final minute, and he needs this round, Van Rooyen, so he needs a good finish here. Just short with the right hand that time, Casazza. The weight just threatened to come over the top of that front foot. Right hand to the body there from Van Rooyen. That found the target. And again, he just pursues Casazza there. That's the right thing to do. It was good elusive skills from the Argentinian. Pulled back and then stepped off to his left-hand side, but he was under some pressure there. Lead hand landed there, I think, from Van Rooyen. Final few seconds of round 2, and the scores for this round for Van Rooyen absolutely critical. That was a better round for the Australian. I'm not sure if he did quite enough. Again, the heavier shots that landed, and in general the cleaner shots that landed, did seem to come from Casazza. But he had a plan there, Van Rooyen, and he put it into practice. It hasn't really borne any fruit for him. He's 2 rounds down with all 5 of the judges. But as I said, he can't go crazy and throw complete caution to the wind. At this level, you just can't do that. You'll get slaughtered if you do that. So he's trying to strike that balance there. And I think he did it pretty well, actually, because he did have a better round. But for the judges, not quite good enough to realistically give himself a chance of winning the fight, because he needs something fairly spectacular in this final round now if he's going to do that. And he looks for that right hand there, Van Rooyen. And again, they really send him out here with some wind in his sails, Van Rooyen. There's that right hand lead. Again, he gets low and flicks it up, and fighters will tell you it's almost a bit of an insult to get hit with a right hand lead. It's like being nutmegged in football to an extent. And that's a neat combination. There's a bit of blood coming from the nose there, I think, of Van Rooyen, just peering across the ring. That's a good stab to the stomach with the lead left hand there from Casazza, and then throws that lead right again and rolls off to his right hand side. That did look a bit low from the Argentinian. And he turns southpaw. there's that right hand again. That time he turned, and so he pretty much threw that as a southpaw jab. And then just throws that left hand as he's moving off to his left-hand side. He relies on his reflexes as the first line of defence, Casazza. That is absolutely true. He very rarely has those gloves anywhere other than where they are right now, which is hanging below that waistline as we head into the final minute of this opening contest of the night session. And it's been a decent fight to get the session going with. And again, just throws that left hand as he's moving off to his left. And you see there, he just pulls the weight onto the back foot, tucks up with that chin behind the shoulder or thereabouts. And it's an effective method for him. And the Australian corner just trying to rev Van Rooyen up towards the final stages here. He's not going to get this because we know that he's dropped those first 2 rounds, but I don't think there's anything to be regretful about, really, in terms of the performance, because he's a tricky customer, Casazza. And I think if he had been too reckless, he would have been picked off more here, Van Rooyen. He's tried to stay compact, he's tried to stick to the plan, and the bell goes at the end of the fight, and it's a good fight between these two. And Casazza is going to take it, I would say, clean sweep, 30 points to 27 with all 5 of our ringside judges.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the judges' scorecards where we have a unanimous decision in favor of your winner. In the blue corner, representing Argentina, Thomas Casazza.
So Casazza with the win, and there's some ability there. There is definitely some ability there. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he's in with somebody who's able to put him under just a bit more pressure than Van Rooyen was able to. Will those reflexes hold up? What's his chin like when he does ship a little bit of punishment? Those are some questions that we need to get answered. But so far, so good for him. And I thought Van Rooyen did perfectly well there. He was up against someone who was just that bit more skilled than him and actually used his natural tools pretty well. The telescopic right hand in particular